But often, what's happening is that it's responding to what's inside. And it could be that any kind of nuclear detonations that occur, to one degree or another, may be the tipping point. It may be the thing that is needed that totally changes the whole course of events or stops people in their tracks. It is not something that is easily achieved. There have been many, many beings who have stopped nuclear war over the last 50 years, again and again. They have neutralized the atomic weapons. Now, your military people are not going to come out and tell you this, because then what kind of power would they have? But it has been noticed around the world. It is quite apparent that UFOs hover over nuclear, what do you call them?
Facilities.
Nuclear facilities, yes, nuclear reactors. UFOs been found over arsenal areas. They have been found in places where weapons and war materials are stored. And there are many who are invested, that's their job, to make certain that no nuclear device is detonated and that you do not destroy yourself. It's not so much that these beings are protecting you, per se. You have the freedom to destroy yourself. It is the library. It's the library and the integrity of the library. And much, much, much was lost with Mars. And Mars is buried in your memories, but so far buried you have forgotten the trauma. And many beings understand what happened there, and they do not want Mars to go the way, Earth to go the way of Mars. Mars at one time was a water-filled planet, and it was quite beautiful. And as we said to you, Mars came down to have this iconography, this mythology about war around it. That is because there were gods who fought the beings who were on Mars, because they did not like what these beings were doing, because there were big genetic laboratories on Mars. To this day, Mars has all kinds of structures upon it, as does the Moon. This is why you don't get too many photos, or photos are whited out or blacked out, because if NASA shows these photos to the world at large, then it's going to change the whole dynamic of everything. Someone recently told us a story about Winston Churchill, and that in his time of being whatever he was, what was he, Chancellor or Premier or something of England, he saw UFO, and he buried it, as many people in the 40s did. They did not want to admit that these things were there, and his statement was it would ruin world religion. Ruin world religion. And it's not so much that Churchill was wanting to protect religion. It's just that he, being a global elite sort of person, understood that that religions are the pacifiers for the masses. And he understood that you take the pacifier away, you're going to get a big crying baby. You follow?
Yes.
And so religions in some ways serve as custodial devices, and so they have sort of, many people know that there could be tremendous turmoil among the masses if these issues start to be recognized. So as the planets affect you, they could start really, really dismantling things, and it's going to come about one day or another. And we'll remind you this: if the government has been lying to you all this time about UFOs, please do not delude yourself to think that when they come on the tube and they start to tell you the truth, that they are going to tell you the truth. They are not suddenly going to turn over a new leaf. It will be more and more deception. And Mr. Churchill did not understand the multidimensional facets of the UFO field. And one of the major reasons, not just to protect the integrity of the pacifier of religions, which the UFO issue cannot be explained. Not by any military general, not by anyone from the Pentagon. The president, political people know the least, always. There's always the brass behind the scenes. Political people change. The brass are lifers, do you understand? Mm-hmm. They stay there. And so the problem is that there is no coherent way to explain these things. And behavioral scientists are very aware that once you officially let the cat out of the bag, and in today's world the only way that cat would be let out of the bag would be through the media, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
And as soon as you mediaize something, you create pictures, images. And if you do not have a coherent image to your story, once you let it out, you bring life and you call those images into being. It's the same thing that astrologers base their understanding on astronomy. Once a planet is officially sighted, such as Pluto was officially sighted in the 30s, like 1929, 1930, in that vicinity, then the effects of the planet become very pronounced. This is why Pluto is connected with nuclear power, because it was there shortly thereafter that you had the splitting of the atom. Same thing with the sighting of Neptune, the sighting of Chiron, the sighting of all these planets. Middle Ages astrologers, astronomers used Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. Yet the Sumerians used Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, because their visitors came from outside the system and had to pass all the planets to come in. So it's long been known, the names of the planets have long been known, yet it took you until the 1700s, 1800s, 1900s to find the last three planets. The sighting then makes the reality. So the naming of UFOs and what they are would bring their presence full on into being, because people would then, in their imaginations, call them in. And the problem is, it's not like, hey, this is an apple. You see, it's round, it has a stem, it can be cut, it's grown, take a bite, you can eat it. The UFO experience is multidimensional. And there is no one on your earth who can wrap the head around it. Not enough to officially explain it to the masses. So this is part of the conundrum. Who else has a question, please? Who is it?
Jeremy.
Jeremy, yes.
In a channeling from an Elohim energy recently, the potential for the ascended Earth to essentially join the Pleiadian system was mentioned. And I wanted to know whether you could shed any light on those potentials for the Earth, the ascended Earth, to be essentially a part of the Pleiadian system, and what we could do to kind of align ourselves with that potential.
We choose not to comment. It's not our story. The Elohim, or the Els, are biblical names for the cosmonauts. In certain terms, the Elohim are the visiting beings who came and caused a lot of problems on your planet. They would be contacting Earth now because, like we are all drawn back to our karma, and we all of us, you, we, Elohim, the Els as they are called, are karmically driven, burdened, to pay for what we have all set into motion. And so these Elohim are here to rectify the big genetic mess they have created. And that's as far as we're going to go with it.
Okay, thank you.
Questions?
Yes, this is Randy.
Randy.
I want to ask you a little bit about dreams. I have a lot of dreams that place me in different times, different places, but always in
Earth or not Earth?